done, and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be One day I'll be yours. I'll be
Hey guys, how are we today? I'm so glad to see you all. Hey Debbie, how are you? And Aaron and Nature Rocks, Vanessa, how are you? Um, I know it's a rough day today, but I'm glad that you're here. And Music City Mom, how are you? Nicole, how are you? It's good to see all you guys. I when I try to get here and get everything set up about 30 minutes or at least 15 minutes before it gets time to start because you guys coming to spend your time with me means so very much. So I try always to have that in my mind. But of course, when I turn my computer on today, it decides to do an update. So I'm just getting all my stuff pulled up right now. But how are you guys? I remember last hey Heatherlicious, good to see you. How are you? Um Last week, remember the first thing that I showed you guys was this about Janelle Banda. Remember her and her dad, they had went camping. It was on the 13th on a Friday for Father's Day. And about this is her again, beautiful. And this is where they were camping at. I think they call it the edge of the world in Arizona, I believe. But you guys, she was found yeah, Van, I feel you. Um, she was found. So her dad said that she walked away from the campsite around 10:30 that night. She was found, you guys. I think that my last live was on that Monday, and it must have been right when I started when they found her, you guys. And she was down a very bad cliff. She said she'd gotten turned around, but they found her almost 60 something hours later, they said. But that's going to be our good story at the end. I told you guys about it, but we can watch the videos and see a little bit more about it at the end. So we have a really good update and a really good story for the end. Hey Tony, how are you? It's good to see you. It's good to see all you guys. Um, B Crumbs sent me a really Music City Mom. I live in Kentucky, so we'll probably be getting them later, I would say. Uh, as long as it's day storms, it's not so bad, but when it comes at night, um, That's the really scary ones. Me, if I could get up there, you guys, you wouldn't catch me up there. We'll say that. But I think they said that they found her. It was like 400 feet down or something, and they had to get a helicopter to save her. And you guys, the crazy part was that I think she got out of the hospital that night. So no bad injuries at all. Total miracle. But yeah, we'll talk more about that at the end. B Crumbs sent me what we're going to talk about today, and hopefully next time, you guys, that we'll have a good update about these two youngins too. And You can see NCMEC, you guys, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's where you can find usually all flyers. There's been only twice, I think, that I haven't seen flyers on there that I'm looking for. But in my description today, you can find the flyers for Alan, and you can find Ann Rachelle, and her mama calls her Shelly, and you can find both their flyers in my description and the numbers to call if you have any information about where they could be at all. And it's on my ticker at the bottom of the page. So let's get started with that. Let me show you guys their photos first. And you guys, I've only been looking into this for 2 days, and you guys know usually I have a whole week before and I've not forgotten about the Decker sisters either, you guys. Do you guys know next week it will be 1 month since they were found deceased? And I saw an article where the sheriff now says that they don't have any concrete evidence that he's still alive. But they had been saying, that they were hot on his trail, so it's upsetting, you guys. And yeah, Heather, we got a new doggy. We haven't named this one yet. I know, Music City Mom. It's been so hot here too. I believe that the real feel the other day was 107 degrees. Hey, Erin, how are you? It's good to see you. Um, yeah. So I've only been looking into these kids for about 2 days, and when you start looking into FDLS, it's a rabbit hole that opens up into an underground cavern that opens up into like the lost city of Atlantis. Erin is our resident expert about that, and she has been trying to help me with everything. But it's let me show you their photos first. And there's not a whole lot of photos of them, and their mama, she left FDLS. Well, first, let me show you their photos and give you their descriptions. And this is Rachelle, and she's 15, and her mama calls her Shelly. And she is 5 feet 5 inches tall. She weighs 135 pounds and has brown hair and blue eyes. And she was wearing a dark green prairie dress with braided hair. So, probably something very similar to the picture that we have of her. And then this is her little brother, Alan, I mean. I had an Aaron on my brain. He's 13 years old, and he is 5 feet 9 inches tall, and he weighs around 135 pounds and has longer sandy blonde hair and blue eyes. And he wore a light blue shirt with blue jeans and black slip-on shoes similar to Crocs. And they had went down, their mama had went to Bible study this past Sunday, the 22nd. And she was gone for about 2 hours. And during this time, she had told them that they could go down to their shop that they had on their property, I believe, and get on the internet. They were no longer FDLS, which stands for the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They had their mama, Elizabeth, she had left in, let me pull up my notes, you guys. She had actually been sent away in Let me see here. I got a lot of notes, you guys. She had been sent away in 2014 to repent. And she thought that she would only be gone for a few months at this time, but it was 5 years. She had been sent away, and get this, you guys, she had been sent away for having a miscarriage. Um, they said that they basically likened it to murder. And so she was sent. Hey, Neat Noodle, how are you? It's good to see you. Hey, Brat, how are you? It's good to see you too. It's good to see all you guys. Um, and guys, at first, I um, I was kind of upset because before I looked into it at all, I didn't know that the mother had left and was trying to do good. And even if for the mothers that are there, and you guys know that my faith means a lot to me, right? And I would never, ever, ever want to disrespect somebody's religious beliefs or anything like that. But in this case, I feel that it's different because when you start hurting women and children or hurting anybody else or breaking the law at all, that's different. And so first I also want to show you guys, Aaron sent me this little short, and it tells the difference between F FDLS and the LDS. So let me find it. Mm, because that is something that we need to remember. The fundamentalists, why am I having trouble saying this word? Fundamentalist. They are they're different. LDS, the FDLS, they believe in marriage, polygamy, and underage marriage and things like that. But the LDS don't. They're totally different. So let's not get them confused. Um, I can't find that little short. I'll look for it after we so in after she was sent away. Hey, Miss W, how are you? It's so good to see you. Yeah, Aaron, I did. I did. I've got all that information. So after she was sent away in 2014, actually her husband was sent away a few years before that. And so then after he was sent away, they split up her family, and she was sent away in 2014. Well, her husband Nephi called her in 2017 and said that he was worried about the kids. So finally in 2020, she was able to get a court order and go back and get her kids. There was when she was sent away at first, she was able to take her second oldest son Benjamin with her, but she had to leave these two kids behind and a third one, Elintra. And her mama calls her Ellie. And you guys, I forgot to tell you that. So these babies went missing on this past Sunday, right? Well, back on January the 1st of 2023, Elintra, she went missing too, and she hasn't been seen since. And she stole her mama's car, and then let me read let me just read this to you guys. Um since her daughter Elantra went missing back in 2023, the mother Elizabeth has been advocating everywhere. She has been trying her very, very, very best to get Elantra back, and we're going to watch a video, an interview that Elizabeth gave with Nate Eaton, and it tells everything that I'm telling you guys now, but coming from her, it really puts everything into perspective. But when Ellie went missing, this is what she says during one of her at a press conference. She said this. this is an excerpt. She says, I was blessed to have Ellie with me for a short 1 year and 7 months before she was assisted in quote unquote running away sometime the night of January 1st, 2023. It is my belief that she had contact with FDLS family members up until the day she ran away, because shortly afterwards we found a hidden phone. I believe that they gave her instructions and assisted her in running away, and have been hiding her for the past 16 months that she has been missing. On the morning of Ellie's disappearance, her father called me and told me she was quote unquote safe at his place. I told him she needed to come home, and he laughed out loud and said she is home. When I called 911 and the police arrived at his home, she was nowhere to be found. I have had a few different hints of sightings, and they are all in FDLS homes and company. It is also my belief that she is located somewhere in northern Utah, or perhaps being hidden in an FLDS home somewhere else. All the believers of Warren Jeffs are still being brainwashed, and any of them would feel it an honor to hide the missing children, as they believe that they are, quote, saving the children's salvation, unquote. That's another thing, you guys. It is especially concerning because you guys know in 2006, Warren Jeffs, he was arrested, and in 2012 he received a life sentence for accomplice to rape and child sex crimes. But somehow he still, the followers of his, they still believe he's in charge, and he gives these revelations from prison. And in 2022 he gave the revelation that there is to be, within 5 years, they're supposed to bring all of the children back, and they're supposed to be, I forgot the word that they used, but when I looked up the definition, it said, not touched by death. So they believe that the children are going to go to heaven and come back quote unquote pure. So that's why it's especially concerning now when these children go missing. um so let me finish reading this to you guys. Yeah, Aaron, you add everything that you need to. You know a lot more about this subject than I do. Um, So, as a mother with a missing daughter, I implore all honest, caring people to keep an eye out for our missing children and help us put a stop to this child trafficking, which is done under manipulation in the guise of, quote, runaway, unquote. I believe that with the help of others around the U.S. who care and are willing to help, we can find our missing children and bring them home safely, where we can continue to love and protect them and teach them to become responsible, loving, successful adults. And what's so sad, you guys, is while she's trying to get Ellie home, all she can do to get Ellie home, her two other kids go missing just this past Sunday. So I feel so sorry for her, because she's out here speaking and doing the right thing, and she probably knows that that's putting her at risk, but she still has to do it to get her baby back, you know? Yeah, Heather Licious, that's basically what they're saying. Yeah. So that's why they sent her away to repent. And I do have, she's done a few interviews with Nate Eaton, but I've watched all of them. And the third one, I think she tells it's best that we watch that, because it puts everything together. And I believe this was done in October of last year. And she grew up in a polygamous, you guys, and she still speaks very highly about her family that she grew up in. She grew up, I think that she had 26 brothers and sisters, but she said it was totally different. It wasn't like this, with the such outrageous beliefs and things like that. So I'll get this started so we can watch it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nate Eaton, and here in our studio today is Elizabeth Roundy. She is the mother of two teenagers who are currently missing. An Amber Alert has been issued in connection to their disappearance. We have 13.
Wrong one, you guys. We're gonna watch this after, because this is for the this is the most recent one that she did, but I think this tells a lot of the background stuff, and I think it'd be better if we watch this one first. I know I gotta come back and share again.
Good evening, everybody. I am Nate Eaton. Welcome to Courtroom Insider. So glad you are here tonight. It is October 3rd, and fall is in the air here in eastern Idaho. I was just telling my wife, Erica, today, I'm like, we've had a really good fall so far. Sometimes in East Idaho, it goes from summer to winter. Like you have 2 or 3 days of fall, and then we get blasted with snow. So far, no snow. The days have been nice. The leaves are changing. It's a really nice time of year here. So I appreciate you being here tonight. Let us know where you're watching from down in the comments below. This has been an episode, a topic that I've wanted to do for some time. We've discussed the issue in the past, but it's been more than a year, and it's dealing with a local girl from who was living here in Idaho Falls. She's not from the area, but mother moved her here, who vanished back in 2023, the beginning of last year. Her name is Elintra Fischer. This is a picture of her, and of course, the first thing you notice is she is wearing a different type of dress. You could say, or not a mainstream dress, and her hair's a little different. And immediately when we got the alert here at East Idaho News that this child was missing, we thought, oh, maybe she's Amish, or maybe she's FLDS. And that is what we learned, is that she was a member of the FLDS church. And then I learned a lot more about her story by speaking with her mother weeks later. Her mother's name is Elizabeth Roundy. If you followed my coverage at all, you know that I've interviewed her, and Elizabeth has actually been in the news a little bit lately, the national news, because she is raising awareness of this issue that she calls child trafficking. And this is a definition of child trafficking. Trafficking is where children and young people are tricked, forced, or persuaded to leave their homes and are moved or transported and then exploited, forced to work, or sold. Children are trafficked for sexual exploitation, benefit fraud, forced marriage, domestic slavery like cleaning, cooking, or childcare, forced labor in factories or agriculture, or to commit crimes like begging, theft, working on cannabis farms, or moving drugs. And it is very well possible that Elintra Fischer, who is not 18, was trafficked and forced into marriage. Her mother prays that that has not happened, but it is a big possibility that it has happened. I don't know for sure, but based on our conversation that you'll hear here in a minute with me and Elizabeth, it is a very real possibility. I want to read to you a story that came out in The Guardian from last April, 2023. You might remember, if you followed me during Lori Vallow's trial, this was happening right in the middle of it, and so I tried to touch on a little bit, but here is what it's the headline: ex-members of extremist Mormon sect.
Thank you, Aaron, so very much for sharing all that you know with us. Like I said, I've only been able to look into this case for a few days, and I had no idea. I remember hearing about Warren Jeffs, of course, and things like that, but I had no idea other than that. And I had no idea how many of these kids are going missing. Hey, Grateful, good to see you. Yes, you guys listen to what Erin says there. She says, cult, system, or group of people who practice excessive devotion to a figure, object, or belief system. Its characteristics include having a leader that preaches an explicit belief system. Yeah, they said so when Elizabeth first got married, um they sent her father away like they did her husband later on. They sent him away because he was questioning a lot of the teachings and things like that. They don't want anybody to question anything. You have to follow along. That wouldn't work for us here, would it? Because I'm asking all the questions.
Sect plead for help to find missing children. This is child trafficking, this is kidnapping, said Lorraine Jessup. Several former members of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, FLDS, the polygamous sect by Warren Jeffs, are calling on law enforcement officers and prosecutors to help them find their missing children, some of who have not been seen in years. In a press conference, the parents and their advocates say a growing number of children living with one parent who have left the church have gone missing recently. They believe their children are receiving help from current FLDS members to return to the close-knit settlements. Jessup was one of the women who spoke at the press conference, said 3 of her children disappeared in the dead of night that winter last year and have not been seen since. She said her children were under extreme pressure to return to the FLDS despite her being their only living custodial parent. She knows of 5 other children who are missing and may be in an FLDS settlement. Jessup described finding grocery bags, walkie-talkies, and bandages hidden for her children. Tools she suspects were left in order to help them run away. You will hear in a minute from...
So during the 5 years that Elizabeth was sent away and she couldn't speak to her children, you know that they were brainwashing them this whole time. And when she finally got I don't think it tells in this video, but when she finally got the court orders to go back and pick them up, the caretaker that had the children, and you guys, when she left, her 4 children were ages 2 to 12. 2 to 12, and she had to leave them. She was allowed to take her 10-year-old child at the time. I'm not sure why she was allowed to take him. He was the second oldest son. But so when she went back to get him, the caretaker, and she had court orders and the police with her and everything, and the caretaker said, you can come in, but not the police. So she went in there, and the caretaker said, okay, you have to find them now. So she had to go all over the house, and you know that scared the children worse. And then when she found them, they didn't remember a lot about her, you know. So then when she got them back to her house, like Nate is saying here, they would find hidden cell phones and things where they would still talk to the church. So I feel so sorry for them, you guys. Like I said, at first I felt some kind of way, because I didn't know that the mother, just looking quickly, I didn't know that the mother had already left and worked so hard to get her children back and things like that. So I was kind of upset, but now I'm not. I even feel sorry for some of the men, like her husband, that they're all brainwashed, you guys. All of them are.
From Elizabeth Rowdy that she believes walkie-talkies or cell phones may have been left for her daughter Elintra. Advocates say the children are deeply indoctrinated and under extreme pressure to return to the FLDS, believing their eternal salvation is at risk if they don't. They say the driving force behind the uptick in disappearances is an August 2022 revelation, allegedly given by Warren Jeffs but communicated through his son Helaman, that calls on current members and cast out parents to bring all FLDS children back to the church in order for them to be translated within 5 years. So in August of 2022, Warren Jeffs allegedly gave this revelation to his son Helaman, who's currently leading the church in person, although many say Warren is still doing it from prison. That all the members need to be brought back. because within 5 years, there will be a resurrection or a translation. The order has parents and advocates deeply concerned. Will this be another Jim Jones and everyone will drink the Kool-Aid? Said Tanya Toole, executive director of Holding Out Hope, a nonprofit that teaches self-sufficiency to current and former polygamists. There's around 10,000 members, it's believed, in the FLDS who practice plural marriage and settlements primarily in the Utah-Arizona border area, southern Utah. And Warren Jeffs has arranged marriages. We know about that. He was arrested in 2006, later found guilty of rape by an accomplice and child sexual abuse. He's serving a life sentence. Do you remember that? I remember I was brand new in news when that happened, and the feds raided not only Hildale, Utah, but in Texas, and went into the temple. And I remember seeing the members of the church, all of the women there, and I think Oprah actually went down and did a show on their compound, and then it kind of faded away. Anyway, there's a custom to send people away to repent, which is exactly what Elizabeth's going to talk about here in a minute, and it is not a good situation. And so I've spoken with Elizabeth often over the past year and a half, and she said, I'm ready to tell more. I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to get my daughter home. And so she came in here to our studio a few days ago. We sat.
Guys, it's also so sad. At the end of this, she even says Nate asked her, "Aren't you scared speaking out?" And she says she doesn't care that it's for Ellie and for the other kids. And she says, "But I'm gonna have to watch my two that I have now, so that the same thing doesn't happen to them." And after this interview, I have another interview that she did just a few days ago, and it's so sad to think the exact same thing did happen again, you guys. So very sad.
We sat down and we talked for about 50 minutes. I'm going to play the whole conversation with you tonight, and hopefully her daughter's watching, and maybe she feels something and feels, or whoever has her, hopefully that she can be brought home. So here is my conversation with Elizabeth Roundy. Hello everybody, I'm Nate Eaton, and here in our studio is Elizabeth Roundy. Elizabeth, we've spoken a few times over the past year and a half since your daughter, Elintra, went missing.
Yes.
You live in Jefferson County, and you have quite a story as far as you escaping the FLDS church and ending up here in eastern Idaho, and your daughter running away or being abducted. How do you describe it?
Well, I believe that she was helped to run away. So, in the way that I look at it, it's nothing more or less than child trafficking, which is really scary to me. She did run away. She took my car and ran away, but I believe she had help, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were FLDS people that came to my house in the night and encouraged her or talked to her or helped her to run away, because they drive by my place off and on. I see them driving by my place, and I live right in the corner out in the country, so there's not a lot I can do about it if they just drive down the county road, But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were actually there helping her run away.
For those people that aren't familiar with your story, you were raised in the FLDS church?
Well, it wasn't called FLDS at the time when I was younger. We called it the priesthood group. But yes, I was raised, I guess you could say partly. I mean, we associated with the group, but we were just up here in Idaho most of the time, so we didn't really do that much with the group down in Utah.
You guys let me know if this is too fast, and I don't care a bit to change it back. I also dropped a link for Hope. I've seen this nonprofit. listed on a lot of these sites, and they seem to be really good. So they do a lot of good things. So I encourage you guys to check them out too.
Down in Utah, only once a month or something, some of us would go down, but
But then things changed when Warren Jeffs became the prophet.
yes, around 2002, then the former leader we had, Rulon Jeffs, passed away, but I was already married at that time, and I had moved down to Utah, so I was already down there in the group at that time.
And what age were you when you got married?
24.
24. And
Yeah.
and you were your husband's second wife.
Yes.
Okay, and you went on to have how many children?
I had 5 children.
5 children, all while there, living in Hilldale?
Yes.
In a different way that Elizabeth was raised up. Yes, she was raised in a polygamous household, but she wasn't made to date or be married or anything. She said she hadn't even ever went on a date before when she was 24, and her dad, she said, she explains it really cute that her dad was out in the milking barn when he got a call from Rulon, who Aaron was commenting about earlier, and that he asked her dad to bring her up. Maybe Salt Lake City or somewhere, and so she just thought it was a meeting. That's what all their family did. But he was actually wanting her to get married. But she said, no, I want to go back home and pray about it. It was her and her sister. So they did go back home and pray about it for a week. But then her and her sister ended up marrying Nephi and his brother. And it was 1999. So just a little backstory about that, you guys.
And give us a brief synopsis as to how or why you ended up leaving the group. You were kind of banished, weren't you?
Yes. So in 2012, my husband was told by the bishop that he needed to go afar off and repent, and he left our family. And we were kind of separated, and already before he left, they had a member and non-member thing going on where we weren't supposed to associate with each other, and they were already tearing the group apart, basically. But
why did he need to repent?
He never told me.
When she was just talking about how that they had her, it was her and Dorothy. Dorothy was her sister wife. There was only 2 of them married to Nephi, and they separated them. And some of them, they said, were okay to get rebaptized into this church. They were building this Zion. They believed that. She said when her kids were little, they were made to throw away all their toys. They had a bunch of bicycles and little Tonka toys and stuff like that, and Nephi made them throw them all away because everything was so super strict. Because they wanted to get into this Zion, and I don't know exactly how to explain Zion. I don't know if it's physical or a metaphorical place or what. Hey Eddie, how are you? It's good to see you. Um, Let me see if this, I changed it. So, because when he changed his name, so let's see if that works. Um, so she said that she was classified as not being able to get rebaptized to get into the Zion. So Dorothy had to live upstairs, and she said you guys, maybe her 8-year-old child, he was classified. You guys know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Chad's Dark and Light. It's kind of what that reminds me of. Oh, good. You guys go and check out Eddie. He has a great mental health channel. All of his peeps really love him, and he hosts a lot of panels, and I think it's good for there to be a place like that where people can speak to each other like that. And so maybe that's why she was allowed to take Benjamin, because he was classified as sure, Aaron, click that link and we'll see if I can get you up here. I've never had any guests on Restream. but sure, that'd be great. And yeah, exactly, neat. She says they believe toys or things that would cause enjoyment would be a distraction from preparing for Zion. Yep, exactly. They said that they should only be getting joy out of the Lord and doing this preparation. Hey, Carl, good to see you. How are you? So I just wanted to explain that a little bit too, so that they had them split up that way. And then when Nephi was sent away, they even split up his two wives and their families further.
Exactly all the details. He did tell me, he told us as a family that he received a letter from Warren Jeffs telling him and his brothers, who were all of his mother's sons, that they needed to go, all of them needed to go repent. So they all got this letter at the same time, I believe, and that they were supposed to go afar off and repent. And he said, I'm not going to tell you everything it says, but I'll tell you the part pertaining to the family. And the part that pertains to the family is that I have not raised my family and my children in love. And that's why, one of the reasons I'm being sent away. And that's all he told us. And then he left. So.
And at that time, you weren't allowed to associate with non-members of the faith?
We weren't supposed to in normal settings, but of course we had to associate somewhat between the family, you know. But yeah, it's pretty rough. It was really rough because my eldest son Jonathan was considered a non-member and I was considered a member, so I was separated from him. He was only 9 years old at the time.
Who deemed him a non-member?
Lyle Jeffs.
Is that Warren's brother?
Yes, he was one that was considered a bishop, and we were all told to go do interviews with him, and he would decide who was worthy to be a member and who was not worthy to be a member.
So he said your 8-year-old son was not worthy to be a member?
Yes. I believe he was 9 at the time.
9?
But yes.
So where do you put him if you can't have association with him?
So Nephi's first wife was considered a non-member, and so Nephi had the non-members live with her and the members live with me. So that was the condition our family was in before he was even sent away. And then once he was sent away, we were still separated. And
so your one son's sent to live elsewhere, so you have the 4 other kids.
Yes.
And was the other wife, the sister wife, still there in the house with you?
We were at that time. She lived upstairs, I lived downstairs.
Were there any other wives too?
No.
And how many kids total?
I believe, let's see, I think we had 12 children together. I'm not positive. I think she has 6. I'd have to count them. Or she has 6 or 7, and I have 5. So.
What was your relationship like with your husband?
You know, I thought at the time it was good, but I look back and I realize that, I felt like he was never happy at me, and I never could understand, especially after I became a member, and Dorothy didn't qualify to be a member, his first wife. And there was nothing I could do about it. It wasn't my decision.
Imagine another man or another person at all declaring if you're good enough to be rebaptized to get into this church, to get into heaven. Just imagine that. That sits so wrong with me. And then what she said just right here, she said he was always mad at me or not happy at me. And the way that she just said that was like, at me. That just hit me weird too. Yeah, you have to press yes. And I think I'm not really for sure how that this one works for another guest joining. We'll figure it out though. I'll go see if I can look for you. You can press yes and then you can just mute it once it gets access, I think.
My decision, you know, but I kind of felt like he was angry at me for it. And
That you were a member?
yeah.
Wouldn't he want you to be a member?
I don't know. It was really weird. When I first was told I first became a member, you know, the way that they they did it all, he congratulated me, but he acted kind of funny about it. And then after that, he just always acted really irritated, so I never knew what to think. But way before that ever happened, even then, we were told not to have marital relationships. And so we already, the only thing we were allowed to do anyway was to shake hands with our spouses.
You couldn't hug your spouse?
For a while, they told us we could hug, and then pretty soon they told us we could only shake hands. No more hugging. So, yeah.
Among all the community?
Yes.
And this came down from Warren Jeffs.
Well, that's what we were being told. Who knows the truth of it?
Right. I asked because I'm wondering, was he abusive at all?
My husband?
Right, with you or the kids?
Yes. He never physically abused me, but he was very abusive in his... He was psychologically very controlling and very abusive with his words sometimes. There was one time where he got very angry and he put his hand up like he was going to come down and kind of slug me with his fist. And I thought he was going to hit me. I was really scared. Anyway, he started coming down towards me, and then he kind of turned and just whacked the wall really hard with his fist. But other than that, he never really physically abused me.
Same with the kids?
No, he was physically abusive to the children. Had a very bad temper. Mostly to our boys.
Is that kind of a cultural thing? Is that common in the church?
I wouldn't say completely, because I believe there's some very good people that were there that were very kind and loving. So I wouldn't say in general no, but I know of a few other instances where yes, it was that way. Nephi himself was raised that way. He talked a lot about the punishments that his parents gave him when he was growing up. So.
But I'm sure as the mother of those 5 kids, when he would lose his temper, that was hard to watch.
Yes, it was very difficult.
So he's banished, or he's sent away to repent. Then how do you end up being sent away to Nebraska?
Well, so after Nephi was sent away, then our family was moved from the family home we'd lived in before I'd been married, across town into another home. And we were kind of moved back together, where we were all living in the same area again, the non-member and member. And it wasn't a very good situation. And they finally separated us. Anyway, but it was 2 years from the time Nephi was sent away before I was told I needed to go far off and repent.
And again, you weren't given a reason?
Well, we were told to come do another interview, and at that time I was I was part of what they considered the United Order, and we were told that they were to clean up the United Order, that there was that there were still people a part of the United Order that were guilty of murder of unborn babies. And so this interview that I went to when I was told to go repent was an interview to try and clean up the United Order people, to send away all those who were guilty of murder of unborn babies.
Is that because you had miscarried?
Yes, and I had 2 different miscarriages. And so Lyle Jeffs questioned me down about these 2 different miscarriages.
See, guys, this is where she's saying why she was sent away for the murder of unborn children, because she'd had 2 miscarriages. It seems like to me that that they were looking for any reason to send her away, because they had already sent Nephi away. So they were looking for any reason, in my opinion.
And decided that I needed to go repent from the miscarriage, I guess. I mean, that's all that we really talked about, so I don't know what else he would have told me I needed to go repent for.
Well, this is your whole life. This is what you've known. So how do you do they just say leave and you have to figure it out? Or do they say go here and someone will take care of you? I mean, I can't imagine suddenly being banished from my home and my community.
No, he said, I feel strongly that you need to go afar off and repent. And I said, okay. And he says, well, you know, it doesn't have to be long. Maybe a few days, maybe a week, maybe a month. He says, I don't know, you know, how long you'll be, you know, be gone. So he made me think that I would only be gone for maybe a month or so, and then I'd be invited back, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't. In fact, so he sent me off by myself and told me I couldn't have any contact with anybody down there in the group, and he specifically told me to not have contact with my family.
And how old were your kids?
My eldest son was 12, and my baby was 2. He just barely turned 2.
Oh my.
It was really hard.
Did you have a car?
Well, I had a minivan that just been our family van, you know, and
Thankfully,
it had a lot of,
she had been sent. I'm not for sure if it's this video that she tells about it, but she had been sent. A lot of these people in the FDLS, the men, they're sent to work on road crews. I don't know if it's for the state or what, but they're sent to do construction. And she was sent out to do the cooking for them. And she had just gotten paid $4,000. So she did have $4,000 when she was sent away in her old van, but that was it. And she had nowhere to go. It was in, Carl asked what state this was in. And it's Idaho, but yes, Idaho. But where she was first sent away from, it was in Utah. And that's where they think that the 2 teens that are missing right now, they think that that's possibly where they were taken back to, was Utah. And they think that Ellie, her first daughter that disappeared here back in 2023, they think that she actually could have a hand in coming back to get the 2 teens that are missing right now under the Amber Alert. I'm looking for you, Aaron. I don't see you, but I'm not even I'm not for sure if I'm even looking in the right place. Carl, it's FDLS, the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, not the LDS. That's different. I did find that short that Aaron sent me that tells the difference, but they believe in polygamy. That's a big difference.
a lot of use, and it was starting to have trouble. In fact, that when we were driving away, it clunked on us 2 or 3 different times on our trip out to Nebraska.
So who was in the car with you?
Well, so after I was sent away, I was told to take my son Benjamin with me also, so it was the 2 of us.
The non-member son?
No.
Oh.
Well, by this time, he was about 8 or 9, and he was also considered non-member.
Okay. So
But-
another son.
Yes, my second son.
So they said take your second son with you.
Yes.
And did they give you any money?
You know, the interesting thing about money is that before this happened, I was told to take my son Benjamin out to one of their crews and cook for one of their. They had some construction crews that were bringing in a lot of money. That they had a lot of the younger people and the men working on these construction crews, and they would go out. At this time they were really large. They had like construction crews in a lot of the states doing different projects. I was sent out to Wyoming with my son Benjamin, and I was able to take my baby with me at this time. This was just a few weeks before I was sent away completely, but I was out in Wyoming cooking for this crew that was doing construction.
And making money that way?
Yes, and so when I was first told to go, I didn't know that I was going to be getting paid. But I went out, and up till for about 3 years before this, I had not even been in a store to buy anything. because once Nephi was sent away, and probably a little while before, we were told to just live off the storehouse down there, that we were to stop going to the stores and everything. And so all of a sudden I'm out here living among the world, the Gentiles, whatever, however you want to put it, people that I'm not familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big culture shock,
I'm
guess
sure.
you could say, to being just among down there, being.
I'm surprised she was allowed to leave with any money either, Carl. I really am. And she I think she's getting ready to explain how she went into a store to buy things and she hadn't even been into a store in so many years. They got married in 1999 and this was around 2014, I think.
Being brainwashed, being among the FLDS people, to going out. And I remember the first time I had to go shopping for this crew I was cooking for, I was just, it was just a big deal to me.
I'm sure you were a little scared, nervous,
Yes,
didn't know
yes.
how to act, what to do.
Yes, and here I was away from home, away from the storehouse, and Elintra was about 6 years old at this time, and she had helped me pack the bag for my baby when I was leaving, and I couldn't find any socks for him, so I had to go buy some socks for him, and that was just a big deal because I hadn't bought anything from a store for years before that, but it was a good eye opener for me, to get out.
So you end up in Nebraska with your son living in a hotel.
Yes.
And during the time, are you able to communicate? I'm sure this was the days before FaceTime, right? Or maybe you could Skype with your children and see what they look like.
No, I was told not to have any communication.
So you had no communication with them?
Not at all.
And you end up in this hotel in Nebraska, and didn't you do housekeeping?
I was working in the motel doing laundry.
Laundry.
For about 2 months.
Okay.
Yes, when I first was sent away.
And are you just waiting every day for the invitation to come back?
Yes.
And that never came?
Just doing everything I possibly could to try and live right, and to do the right thing and say the right thing, and to try and repent and praying my heart out every single day that I'll get this call, that I can come back to my children, And it never came. I was there for 5.5 years before I said, this is a bunch of nonsense. I'm missing out on my children's childhood, and I didn't want to leave them in the first place. I'm done with this.
I'm not for sure if it is in this interview or a different one, but she says what opened her eyes was in 2019 she was invited back to her father. He had unfortunately passed away, and she had been invited back to his funeral. And Nephi, they hadn't been together during this whole time, and he went with her, and he made her leave without even telling her mother goodbye at that funeral. And she said, why am I doing this? Staying away from my kids and having to listen to a man I don't even live with telling me what to do when I could be with my kids and back home with my loving family in Utah. So she said that's what changed her mind. And the funeral was in 2019, I believe. So 2020, she goes back looking for her kids, and she meets a cop outside, and he says, we're not going to be able to help you unless you get a court order. So then she gets a court order and she gets full custody. And that's what I was telling you guys earlier when she went back and the caretaker was there and all of that. So she has full custody. Now Ellie, she would be over 18, so she couldn't make her come back home if she was found. But Shelly and Alan, the two that just went missing Sunday, who are 13 and 15, she has full custody of them. And so she absolutely can make them come back home if she could find them.
I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my children.
Was it suddenly one day you had this big wake up moment, like this is ridiculous, or was it gradually over time that it kind of ate at you, like this isn't acceptable, and then another day comes and you finally reach the point
I would say that it ate at me the whole time I was out there. I didn't feel good about it. I didn't want to leave my children. I was worried about them every single day, every minute of every single day, because I didn't know how they were being treated. I didn't know exactly where they were. I didn't know what was going on in their lives, and I was very worried about them. But yes, there was a time and a day when I came to that conclusion. It was after my father passed away. He passed away, I believe it was in November of 21. Wait, of 19. November of 2019. And up until that point, I'd been praying and reaching, wanting to be reunited with my husband and be able to come back to my children and us to live as a family again, thinking that this was going to happen. No one. At that point, when my father passed away, then I was actually, my husband offered to, we weren't really supposed to even have contact, but we'd been talking a little bit on the phone here and there, and I'd seen him a couple times just for a visit, for just a couple hours or whatever. But up to that point, I wanted to get back with him, but he volunteered to help me drive because it was about a 14-and-a-half-hour drive.
Nephi did.
Yes, from Nebraska, where I lived, up to my father's funeral.
In Idaho.
Yes.
So you get to the funeral.
Well, we're on our drive here to come here. Nephi was he talked very rude and very derogatory or
Condescending.
Condescending, that's the word. Yes, condescending to me. And I had been away from it for long enough by then that I was just upset at him. I just thought, what right does he have to treat me this way, And I realized at that moment, I realized how wrong he had treated me the whole time I had been married to him even. And all of a sudden it all just came to me because I'd been away from it, and I'd been around for the most part.
She had been away from her children and Nephi since 2014, and she's talking about this was 2019 when she finally realized it and woke up. And the DV relationship that I was in, it was very, very, very short, thankfully. But I could even tell, like when I look back now, oh my gosh, you guys, did you hear that thunder? If my Wi-Fi goes out, don't worry about me, guys. I'll figure it out. But now what I was saying was I can look back and see the subtle things now that I may not have seen then, like the trying to isolate me from my family and things like that. So, but I mean, it was a very short month, but she was in that relationship with him and physically with him from 1999 until 2014 at least. So could you imagine all the quote unquote deprogramming that she would have to do, you know?
Part people that treated me decent and that respected me for the good I did, I get back around him and have him start talking down to me and telling me that I needed to be repenting and getting after me, and it just really rubbed me wrong. I just thought I don't have to put up with this, and I don't want to live with this. And at that moment I decided I did not want to get back with him. I didn't want to be around that. I thought, I don't deserve this, and I don't want it, and I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to let him treat me that way. And that was the point where I decided I'm getting out of this. Not just, that I wanted to get away from him at that time, and so I decided I was going to go get my children, whether he agreed or not, because I'd already talked to him once before that and asked him to come with me and let's go get the children. And he refused. He belittled me and made me feel like I was a bad person for wanting to go get my children.
And wasn't everybody else there in your family really nice to you during the funeral?
Yes, that was when I came back and was around my family for just a few hours to go to my father's funeral. Nephi wouldn't let me stay and visit or let me spend hardly any time with my family. And I realized at that point that that was the only reason he'd even volunteered to come, was so he could control what I did
you.
and get me to leave again quick, because he didn't want me to be around my family and get any ideas of coming back. But just being there with them for the few hours I was, and feeling their love and their kindness, and I'd been separated from them for approximately 10 years. And it was a big eye-opener. What in the world am I doing out by myself with my son in Nebraska? I was worried about Ben. Knew he needed to get around people that he needed to be around, loving family, etc.,
Right.
And
So you decided to go get your kids
yeah, so
in southern Utah.
Yes.
Did you try to make arrangements beforehand, or did you just show up?
I just showed up at first.
And how'd that go?
Well, I didn't know where my children were, but I had been told that they were in Parowan, Utah. So I got in my car and drove all the way to Parowan, Utah from where I lived in Nebraska. And I didn't know where my children were. I had a sister that actually met me there in Parowan, and she helped me. We drove around and we looked around Parowan and drove around, and we couldn't see anywhere where anybody that was FLDS was living, or we didn't see my children. And so we went to the police and I asked them to help me find them. And the police told me that there wasn't really anything they could do unless there was a court order, and that I had to go through the courts, get a court order, and then they would be happy to help me find them and get them.
And you got the court order.
So yes, at that point, then my sister knew somebody else, that Roger Hull, the Utah attorney down there in Salt Lake, had helped. He'd been helping quite a few mothers get their children back, and some fathers
Right.
that had been sent away. And so she was able to contact a friend she had, and they gave her Roger's number, so I was able to call Roger, and he agreed to help me. I wouldn't have my children if it wasn't for him.
So you ended up getting, was it 4 of the 5?
Yes. Well, I already had Ben, so
You
it
had
would have been
Ben.
3.
So 3 of the 5. 1 never came. Is that
Yeah.
because he was an adult?
Yes, he was already over 18, and I tried getting him to come. He was crying. I could tell he kind of wanted to, but it went against everything they'd been taught. They felt like all of a sudden I was this apostate, and so he was torn. He stood by the truck crying as we drove away, and before we shut the door to drive away, then he was standing there, and I said, "Jonathan, please come with us. Please." I begged him, please just get in and come. I told him, it's going to help the younger children to have you here, and I want you here. Please come with us.
She's talking about her oldest, Jonathan, here. And in another interview that I saw, she was talking about, remember I told you guys when she went back with the police and her court order to get her children? Jonathan was in there when she went inside by herself, and the cops stayed outside. And she said that the caretaker and some more FDLS people were in there, and Jonathan even, and they were berating her, and saying bad and mean things to her, and trying to get her to leave without the kids. And here she's saying that she even was trying to get him to go with them, and he was crying and stuff. So imagine how torn he felt, you guys. He was just barely 18, I think. Oh, it's awful, guys.
And he says, "No, I can't. And he wouldn't get in, but I could tell that he was torn. I knew he wanted to be with us, but because they've been taught so much against apostates or having anything to do with somebody that they don't believe is faithful to the FLDS, then he felt like he was doing the right thing, and he had to do the right thing to not come with us, It's really heartbreaking."
Yeah. So you end up bringing those children up here to Idaho, and then lengthy court hearings resume or begin, I guess.
Yes.
Because you're fighting to get custody of them.
Yes.
And ultimately, you do get full custody
Yes.
of all of the 4 kids.
Yes.
So when Elintra disappears on New Year's Day, 2023,
Yes.
legally she needed to be with you.
Yes.
And she was 14 at the time?
She just turned 16.
She had just turned 16.
Yes.
Did you know before she vanished that she was in talks, presumably, with members of the FLDS?
I didn't know for a fact because they learned to be really sneaky, but I assumed they were in contact. And after she ran away, I found a phone that was hidden outside. So I know she was in contact with FLDS. And I found 2 different phones that they gave my children to keep in contact with them when they were court ordered to not have any contact with them. Unless it was under the supervision of a professional counselor or somebody like that. They were not to have any contact with my children, and they were still sneaking phones to them. Like I said, they can drive by my place, and I don't know exactly how they've had it all figured out, but I don't trust them, and I don't know if... I wouldn't be surprised if they still have contact with my other 2 younger children, but to my knowledge, they don't.
So she takes your car and then it's found abandoned at a gas station with a letter to you.
She sent me a letter in the mail telling me where to find the car.
Oh, she did.
Did
Yeah.
you guys hear what she just said? She said, it wouldn't surprise me if they still had, this was the end of 2024. So Ellie had been gone for over a year and a half at this time when she did this interview. And she said, it wouldn't surprise me if they still had contact with my 2 younger kids. She said, I hope they don't. But, I mean, more than likely they did, because these 2 kids are gone now too, you know?
Yes.
And did she say, leave me alone?
No, well, no.
Or I'm fine, or was it just, here's where you can find the car?
Well, so she wrote me a letter, and we had a Christmas tree up. She wrote me a letter and hung it on the Christmas tree the night she ran away, or the morning. And I didn't find it right off, but I did find it that morning after she ran away. And in it, she basically told me that she has thought about this a lot, and this is the choice that she's made to do, and goes into detail. I mean, she didn't really go into a lot of detail, I guess, but she kind of tried to explain herself out a little bit, and basically telling me that it was her choice to go. And I believe that whoever was encouraging her in the FLDS told her what she needed to say to make it sound like she ran away, so that the cops would put it down as a runaway instead of as a kidnapping.
An abduction, right.
Yeah.
Have you talked to her since that day?
No, not at all.
Not a word?
Not a word.
Have you tried to go down and find her?
I wanted to get in the car and drive down and start looking when I got word, we had a couple different hints of where she might be. They were more what you could say a rumor. The first one was was from about 3-4 people before it got to me.
Yeah.
It was, she said that, and so the cops couldn't really do a lot with it, but.
Erin has been dropping the link for a really good nonprofit organization. I always check out the nonprofits before I put them in my Nightbot and share them. And I had heard really good things about this one. They help people leave polygamy and become, more independent and things like that. So please check that out if you need to. And yeah.
I wanted to go look, and I had 2 different detectives that both told me not to do it because they said if I showed up around there, they would most definitely recognize me, and they'd probably hide her deeper, which is something that happens a lot in these cases.
Right. So do you think she's down in southern Utah?
I do not know. She was in northern Utah, I believe. That I had 3 different hints that people that knew she had been in northern Utah right after she ran away.
Really? And do you think that they've married her off?
I don't know. I hope not. They better not have. She's still underage, and she doesn't have my permission, so they better not have.
When does she turn 18?
She turns 18 and
Oh, I wanted to tell you guys too that but what I was going to tell you was that organization, I believe that Erin's been dropping, they have been helping her look for her kid, for her one daughter, Ellie, and then now I think they're helping her look for Alan and Shelley too. but also the bikers are helping her. I saw this one video where a group of bikers went into, it just looks like a suburban neighborhood, and they go and knock on doors of the FDLS, and of course they say that they don't know where she is and things like that. But so that would be great if that leads to something. But I'm sure this group has been really good and figured out a really good plan to hide these kids, unfortunately.
In December of this year.
And when that happens, are you then at a complete, you can't do anything further?
Well, I actually talked to the detective that's on the case about that, because I wondered, once she turns 18, do they just drop the whole case, or what exactly happens? And he told me that after she turns 18, she's still going to be on the list, and they're still going to be looking for her. And so if she pops up on the radar somewhere, they will still bring her in. But mostly, I mean, they just have to bring her in, make sure she's safe, and
Then they close it out.
yeah, have contact, etc., to make sure she's okay, and then close it out, basically.
You said you feel it's child trafficking. Are there other women in the same spot as you?
Yes.
And how many? Any idea?
I'm in contact with one of them in particular that has 3 children missing, and they went missing within approximately a month after Elintra went missing. And so she's been missing her 3 children for almost as long.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it's really heartbreaking. One of the other mothers that was missing 3 of her sons, they were actually able to find recently, and so she has them back finally. She was missing 3 of them, I think, for around 2 years.
But she got them. She found them.
Yeah, they found them and got them back.
I'm sure, though, once that happens, you kind of have at the back of your mind, though, a fear that what if they're abducted again, or what if they take off again?
Yes, and I'm very concerned about my younger children and what they might try to do with them also. But just hoping to be wiser myself and not let something like that happen again, you know.
Well, you're very brave to be speaking out publicly about it, because do you think
Did you guys hear that? I want to rewind it just 1 minute so you can hear. This is where she's talking about her younger 2 kids, and this is what really made me sad.
And so she has them back finally. She was missing 3 of them, I think, for around 2 years.
But she got them. She found them.
Yeah, they found them and got them back.
I'm sure, though, once that happens, you kind of have at the back of your mind, though, a fear that what if they're abducted again, or what if they take off again?
Yes, and I'm very concerned about my younger children and what they might try to do with them also. But just hoping to be wiser myself and not let something like that happen again, you know.
Well, you're very brave to be speaking out publicly about it, because do you think that, well, Warren Jeffs is in jail, but do you think they're watching these things, the leadership of the FLDS, that Elintra might be watching, that others might be watching, and know that you're going public with this?
I know that there are FLDS people that see it because, well, Elintra's father saw it, and I know there's other people because I've had rumors come back to me that different FLDS people have they saw my former interview anyway.
What did Nephi say? How do you know he saw it? Did he talk to you?
No, it's just rumor I heard.
Nephi, if you're watching, I want to talk to you. I'd love to talk to you. Come on in, we'll chat. Did you ever officially divorce him, or were you ever legally married?
I was never legally married since I was his second wife.
I see.
It was just a church marriage.
So how are you surviving now, Elizabeth?
Well, it's day at a time, you know, just missing Elintra every day, but praying and pushing forward. Have my other children that I have to focus on, and we just one day at a time. There's still hope, you know. There's the Road Warriors motorcycle crew, whatever you call them, gang. They are working on it nonstop, trying to help find Elintra, and I'm so grateful to them.
Good. Hey, are you hearing at all about how the church is running now, with Warren Jeffs being in prison for the rest of his life? And
I've heard rumors here and there, and I know while I was still in it, down there part of it, that he's very much still running everything from prison. He's sending revelations and telling people what to do constantly still.
And is Nephi living down there? Do you know?
I don't know where Nephi is. I have reason to believe he may be back down there, but I don't know.
So if she is watching, what would you say to Elintra?
Elintra, I miss you very much, and I want you to know that I love you very, very much, and I wish that you would come home.
Well, I applaud you again.
So it's really, really sad you guys seeing this. And now I want to show you guys the interview that she did after the most recent two went missing. And it's even, I have a, let me show you guys this. I don't know how to do on Canva where it makes the boxes and stuff, but I did these two. Like on the left is when Elintra or Ellie first went missing, and on the right is just recently her newest interview when Alan and Rachelle went missing, and you can see such a how she's aged in a little over 2 years. So that really hit home for me. Bless her heart. Um, Now I wanted to show you guys, it's not as long, the interview that she did just a few days ago. Let me see if it was the 24th. So the children went missing between 6 and 8 p.m. on the 22nd, and the Amber Alert was issued on the 23rd. And on the 24th, the Jefferson County, Idaho Sheriff's Office came out and said that the car that they thought was initially connected to the Amber Alert. Well, let's read right here exactly what it said. It said, through the course of our investigation, Jefferson County detectives have been unable to find concrete evidence regarding a vehicle Rachelle and Alan Fischer may have left in. We have confirmed that the vehicle was initially reported as being involved, has not traveled to Idaho during that time that Rachelle and Alan went missing. Detectives have narrowed down the time frame that the children went missing to Sunday, June 22nd, between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m. At this time, we are unsure if they have left the immediate area or are close by. And then it tells the numbers that I have in my description and also on my ticker. So unfortunately, the car that they initially thought the children had left in, and it was actually a car that Elizabeth had seen in her neighborhood. It's so creepy because she says that she knows it's her family, but they are legit stalking her, keeping an eye on her, and probably just doing that so they could get these kids back, you know? And so now, and this is Nephi and Elizabeth, probably when they first got married around 1999, and she was his second wife. And so this is the one that was just, well, a day after the, oh man, I forgot to make it bigger for you guys, didn't I? Sorry, guys. I got you. I got you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nate Eaton, and here in our studio today is Elizabeth Roundy. She is the mother of two teenagers who are currently missing. An Amber Alert has issued in connection to their disappearance. We have 13-year-old Alan Fischer and 15-year-old Rachelle Fischer. Elizabeth, I imagine it's been a chaotic 48 hours for you.
Yes, very emotional, very, very busy.
Right.
Very.
So take me back to Sunday night. What happened?
Well, Sunday evening, I usually go to a family Bible class, and I was going to go to this Bible class, and my children asked if they could go down to Roundy's shop. It usually lasts about 45 minutes. They wanted to go down there and get on the internet because we haven't been having ours on at our house. They wanted to get on the internet so they could watch videos while I went to this class. And I allowed them to do it. I know it wasn't very smart of me. But they went down. I let them go down there, and when I come back to get them, they were coming. Somebody come by the shop and hauled off with them.
Within 45 minutes of you being away.
I actually ended up having to stay over and do some stuff at the farm a little longer. I was gone for approximately 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yes.
And that was between 6 and 8?
Yes.
So somehow someone knew that you weren't there.
Yes.
How do you think that happened? I mean, do you think that they
I-
were watching you?
I believe they could have been watching, and it's kind of my guess that they were lingering around in the neighborhood somewhere, waiting for a chance to grab the children, because I've seen their vehicles driving past my place, up and down the roads by my place, even past.
Yes, the interview that I played, um, that we just watched, that was from when her oldest daughter Elintra, when she first, well, it was about a year and a half after she went missing. The last time her mama saw her was on January the 1st, 2023. And so she was doing that interview to raise awareness for her. And this interview was just a few days ago. And this was after Alan and Rachelle, her youngest two kids, went missing. And so that was the pictures that I was showing you guys, how much she had aged. And then now, and on the other interview, you guys, Nate was asking her how she does it, and she said it's just day by day. I have my younger two kids to take care of and worry about now. So I'm really, really worried about her, you guys, because now will she feel like, and she also said, well, I'm going to keep a better eye on the two youngest ones. So hopefully this doesn't happen again. And it did, by no fault of hers. It sounds like she was doing everything right. And so I'm really, really worried about her. Is she going to feel like, um, obviously she's going to feel remorse, but will she also feel like she doesn't have a job to do now? So I'm really, really worried about her. No, Carl, actually we don't. Not that I know of. I think north from us a little bit we do. Hey, Go Bulldogs, how are you? No, I haven't watched that, but Erin, I'm sure she's watched it. She knows a lot about it, and she's been helping me so very much with this case. So I really, really appreciate her. Like I was saying, B Crumbs told me about this Amber Alert for these two kids 2 days ago, I think, and I didn't know a thing about FDLS, just about Warren Jeffs. That sick dude from back when it happened, but that's really all that I knew. And I didn't know that it was so prevalent that these kids that they go missing like they do now. It's very, very prevalent. And the link that Aaron keeps dropping for Holding Out Hope, they do a lot of press conferences. And oh, there's one video that I'll try to show us at the end where some laws were just passed in Utah, I believe last year, to try to address some of these concerns. So hopefully that'll help.
Past the shop they got taken at. Just barely on Friday, I passed the gray silver or the sedan car that they put out on the Amber Alert with Utah license plates going when I was driving from my house just down the road, just about 2.5 miles or something down the road from my place. I passed it right there on the dirt roads, going the opposite direction, going towards my house.
When you say they have been watching, who's the they?
It's mostly been their older siblings, I believe, and possibly other FLDS family members that are partially related. Like Nephi's first wife has family that kind of lives down around the same area their older siblings live in. And some of them have been involved in the past and coming out there and stuff.
Nephi's your ex-husband,
Crazy.
the father of the children.
Yes.
And you had a daughter, Elintra, we've talked with since 2023, who,
Yes.
similar circumstance in a way, she vanished on New Year's Day.
Yes.
She's now 18.
Yes.
So even if she can't, legally you can't, have her come back.
Yeah.
But have you heard how she's doing? And do you think she was involved?
Yes, I believe she is in the middle of it. I have not heard how she's doing. I haven't heard from her at all. It's just very sad to my heart, but just praying for her. But I believe
Reality, yes. I have their nicknames, the links to those in my description, and also I just dropped my Facebook, so I left their missing flyers on my Facebook too, and I don't think I left it on my community post yet, but I'll do that too, so you guys can share their missing flyers. They were last seen this past Sunday. They were abducted between 6 and 8 p.m. in a place called Montview, Idaho, I believe is the city. But the FDLS group that they're from had ties to Utah, so they think that they might be headed back there. And who she was speaking about before, her oldest daughter, Elintra, or Ellie that she calls her, she believes that she may have came back and helped take the two kids too.
that her father's involved, but I believe the older siblings are involved. And like I said, there's other family members, friends that also could be involved.
So why do they want your kids? What's the purpose?
Well, I believe that it's the reason they're trying to keep them from me, first of all, is because they believe I'm an apostate, and the FLDS religion teaches strongly against having any contact with anybody they think is apostate. But the other reason is their father is determined to keep them in the church, in the FLDS church, if you can even call it that. He's a very stubborn man, and he's not happy that I was given full custody of them still. And he's been trying to get them away from me ever since I was given full custody of them. So it's just been a long battle for 5 years.
And for those people that might be watching for the first time, I interviewed Elizabeth back 2 years ago, over 2 years ago now, where she shared her story, bravely shared her story about being exiled from the FLDS, moving to Nebraska with your son, because he was exiled too, and then coming to Idaho and rebuilding your life and fighting for custody of those kids, which, as she mentioned, full custody granted by the courts. Were you at all concerned over the past few months and years that this could happen? And did you have to take steps to try and prevent it?
Yes, the whole time. The whole time I've had my children, they just won't leave us alone, and they've been driving past. It's almost like they're stalking us, driving past our house. I see them come by quite regularly. One night, about probably 5 or 6 months ago, my family does a Sunday dinner where we all get together and eat, and we take turns with the meals. And I was on Sunday meal, and I'd been really busy, so I stayed up really late trying to prepare this meal. And then I decided to take it over to the farm where I was going to be needed the next day, It's about a 5-mile drive, and so it'd be in the fridge there ready for us. And so it's in the middle, it's like 2 a.m. And I went out to my car, and I loaded this stuff in and climbed in my car and started my car. And I didn't see anything around, any lights, anything. And then, because we're out there in the country,
right,
surrounded by, fields, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I looked up in my rear view mirror, and I could see these headlights on the one side of my house shining. It was like they just appeared out of nowhere. They thought I was driving away, I think, and then they decided to turn their headlights back on or something. I don't know. I think they were just waiting somewhere in the area. I don't know what they were doing. And they probably were waiting for me to go to bed.
Right.
I guess, but
you kept a pretty close eye on your kids.
yes. And so my children were, in bed, of course. And I made sure the house was locked, but then I decided I better see what these guys are up to. So I took my car and I started driving out on the road to go. And then I stopped and I just waited. They started driving really slow the opposite direction around the other side of my house. And I just stopped and was watching them to see what they were going to do. And they just really slow drove down, mile blocks there, down to the next corner, and slowly drove down to the next corner and then circled around and come back up to the road where they were going to come back around, full circle around my house. And I just sat on the road and waited and turned my car off and my lights off and everything, waiting for them. And when they got back around, I was kind of at the end of the road where they were coming by. Right before they got to the road, I just flipped my lights back on to let them know I was there. And they just drove on past, and I sat and followed them around Montague for about 15 minutes. They just taken me on a big goose hunt.
Wow.
And yeah, it's like they've been stalking me, and it's creepy actually, but it's family that I love, and it's so heartbreaking to think that they want to cause trouble for me, I felt like the whole time they've just been waiting for this opportunity to grab my children and go hide them. So
do you think they are in hiding now?
Yes, definitely wherever they're at, they're in hiding already, but I won't be surprised if they're possibly close by and they're waiting until things settle down. They hope things settle down a little and then they'll maybe take them somewhere.
So you think they might still be in eastern Idaho right now with plans to move them?
I don't know, but it's definitely something that a feeling I've kind of.
I hope that I'm not for sure exactly what the new laws were that passed, but I hope that they would be able to make, instead of just like custodial interference or something for these people that do this, I hope that they can make the laws and the punishments worse so that it might deter some of this, but I don't even know if that would even. They just feel like it's something that I don't know.
Kind of had that they might be in the area still. We've had all kinds of reports and calls since the Amber Alert went out, which I'm so thankful for people and their efforts. Yeah, I don't know where they're at, but the police have told me they've been searching and looking into almost every call they've had come in. So,
one of the concerning things that came out right before the Amber Alert was these documents showing the revelations that Warren Jeffs gave. It's been a few years now, but in there's some concerning words about children needing to die to be pure. I mean, were you aware that he had said?
I found these documents, you guys, and we could go over them at another time. Like Neat says, it's so many stories of this and so many rabbit holes that we could go down. And if you guys would be interested, we could look at all of that, because some of the press conferences that Elizabeth has been involved in, you hear so many stories from so many other mothers, and we could raise awareness once a day for many months to come, and we still couldn't get all their stories out.
It said these Warren Jeffs, of course, is in prison, but it sounds like he still has a hold on the membership of the group.
Yes, there's still, I believe, I've been told anyway, I haven't been down there part of any of it for so long, but I have a friend that has connections down there, and she told me a few things. It sounds like his son Helaman Jeffs has taken over to lead the people, and sounds like he's got a pretty good following that think they're following Jeff still. Like I believe he's still behind it, telling them what to do.
Warren tells Helaman.
Yes, and I have reason to believe that the children's father, Nephi, is involved in all that. I've been told that he's been being used as a naturopathic doctor to help a lot of people in the group. So I definitely believe that they're tangled up in all of that, and it's a very, very scary and very big concern to me. Yes.
Right. I mean, these revelations that came out 2022, I believe 2023, something like that, about gathering up the children and so that they can die. I mean, are you worried that your children could be in danger?
Yes, yes, because things that they, back when I was a part of it, things they were telling us to do are so erratic and just manipulative that I just don't. You just never know what they're gonna do. It's definitely a concern.
Well, what can the public do? I mean, here's the photos of them. We'll put them on the screen. What's your message to the public should they see your children?
Please call the police and help us get them home. I'm very concerned about their well-being, and of course I'm missing them very bad. Heartbroken they're gone.
I mean, you guys were even all sleeping in the same room.
Yes, for probably 2 years since Ellie ran away. Alan's been sleeping in my room with me on the couch in my room, and Shelley's been sleeping in there for a few months now on my bed with me. So,
is that more so you could keep an eye on them?
oh, they did it on their own. They come and slept there because they wanted to. I didn't. I've tried quite a bit to get Rachelle. I'm in the past she's told me that she had nightmares and stuff like that, and I've said, Rachelle, you're always welcome to get up and come in here, and I'll help you in the night if you're on a hard time, or just come sleep with me. I have this big bed. I said it's not a big deal, You can sleep on the other side of my bed, and it's not a big deal. And she always refused to till a few months ago, and then by herself she just come and started sleeping in my room with us. So we've all been in there for the last few months, and they've been coming with me to work. They've been with me almost 24/7. And yes, it is because I've been concerned about this happening. I've been keeping them with me right under my nose almost all the time. And I'm kicking myself, of course, for letting them go like I did, and for taking as long as I did. It's just...
Oh, that's not your fault. That's definitely not her fault. They would have, well, they've waited around all these years since she got them back in 2020, I think. So they waited all this time. They would have definitely found a way. There wasn't anything she could do to have stopped them, in my opinion.
So was that the longest period of time that you've been away from them? That 2 hours?
Yes, we barely got back from a trip to Silverwood Park up in northern Idaho. It's a big recreational water park, and they had a really good time. That was last week. So there's times they were with family members, like my sisters, other adults. But yeah, just for being separated from them, that's the first time that for several weeks that I've even let them out of my sight.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Well, I hope that somehow they can see this, or someone can see this, that can help get your kids back to you. Legally, they can't be elsewhere. They need to be with you.
Yes, legal. I have full legal custody of them. So legal, physical, and just I can't remember the other word, but yeah, I have legal custody of them. So.
All right. Well, again, these are the pictures of Alan and Rachelle, and hopefully there can be some answers. Is there anything that you want to add, Elizabeth?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everybody that cares and that's made an effort to call or will in the future. And it's been huge how many people have already reached out, and I'm just so thankful for so many good people in the world that care and that want to help. There's a wonderful organization called the Road Warriors for Missing Children from Utah, and they have been so awesome.
The Road Warriors. I think that she might actually be talking about that motorcycle group that I was telling you about. I know, Reality's Weeks. That's why I have been so worried about her too. Well, Carl, that is totally up to you. It might be I don't care a bit for you guys giving your opinions. it might just be a different culture because, like I said, she was raised with 26 siblings. And so she did grow up in polygamy too. And when you're raised like that, sometimes that's all you know. And they can't even, um, they don't even see on TV or I know that they're not like the Amish and they do believe in technology, but like she said, when she first left, when she was first banished to repent in 2014, she said that those first 5 years that they told her not to watch the news or get on the internet or things like that, and she still followed and abided by those rules, even though that she was, just her and her son living together, because she still wanted to do what they said so she could possibly get her children back one day. So that yeah, Neat, what Neat said, it was hard to it was hard for me to explain, but you did it perfectly well right there. Realities Week says, I just want to give her a hug. You're the first creator I've seen cover this. Thank you. I'm just trying to follow. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I know that I here on my channel, I just try to bring awareness for the cases that you don't see a lot, and I know that I don't get big views and stuff like that, but like I always tell everybody, even if you have 30 Facebook friends, or even I don't even have 1,000 subscribers, but we don't know when it's going to be the one person that sees it. We just need the one right person to see what we put out, and it can make all the difference. um Okay, now let me see what else I have. Let's show their pictures. Oh, you guys, also, Elizabeth said that a few weeks, I believe it was a few weeks before that Alan and Rachelle went missing, that some of her photos and documents were stolen, their birth certificates, I think. So they were planning to do this for a while. And I was thinking they probably take their photos so that, like, here I only have two pictures of each to show you guys. They do that on purpose so that people won't know what they look like and be able to look for them. So this is Rachelle, and her mama called her Shelly, and she is 15 years old, and she is 5 feet 5 inches tall. She weighs 135 pounds and has brown hair and blue eyes, and she was last seen wearing a dark green prairie dress with braided hair. So I'm thinking it might just be the same dress in this picture. And then this is her brother Alan, and he is 13 years old, and he is 5 feet 9 inches tall. He weighs 135 pounds and has longer, sandy blonde hair and blue eyes. And he was wearing a light blue shirt with blue jeans and black slip-on shoes similar to Crocs. And I only have one more photo. Oh, and this is her first daughter that went missing in 2023, Elizabeth, and she called her Ellie. And I only have one more picture of her too. And she was 16 when she went missing, and she would be 18 now. She just turned 18 this past December. And she still is listed as missing, even though if she was found, she couldn't be made to come home, but she still is on the missing persons list. And she's 5 feet 5 inches tall, 135 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. Um, hey NorCal Jim, how are you? Um, Thank you, Carl. He says, I'm personally tired of the so called true crime community on YouTube. It's the same old crap daily. Your stuff is refreshing. Well, thank you. Thank you so very much. I really, really, really appreciate that. I really, really do. Um, there is one more video that I have marked here, and then we'll get to our good story that we have for this week. And this one is I have it that they give some solutions at the end of this video. So I think this would be good for us to watch. Let me come back and make it bigger. Okay, it is bigger. That's good.
Warning from groups that watch the fundamentalist LDS Church following a revelation from Warren Jeffs.
We are going to have a mass suicide if we do not do anything about it.
I'm Ben Winslow. Ex-members of the FLDS Church are pleading for help to find their children they say have gone missing following a revelation from imprisoned polygamist leader Warren Jeffs.
I've had leads called in, but none of them have been substantial.
Lorraine Jessup says she hasn't seen her 3 children in more than 14 months.
It has now been over 3 years.
She joined other mothers who were either excommunicated or left the fundamentalist LDS Church but have children still inside, begging for help to find them. Elizabeth Roundy says her daughter disappeared last year.
See, there's Elizabeth, and this was at a press conference that Holding for Hope organization had, and I'm trying to find the whole press conference. I've only been able to find bits and pieces, but like I was telling you guys, that other lady said that she had 3 children that were missing, and so there's so many that we could bring awareness to.
I just don't want her to get married young or to get in a bad situation where she's not treated right or with respect or something terrible happens to her, like some of those creepy revelations Warren talks about.
In 2022, Fox 13 News obtained and first reported on a revelation Jeffs issued from prison where he's serving a life sentence for crimes related to underage marriages. In it, he called people back who'd left the Utah-based polygamous church and told them to bring their children with them. It also promises members they'll be translated to heaven, language that's concerning to ex-members and church observers.
I don't think
Guys, it's so scary because in his revelation, I haven't even read them all. Supposedly, it was sent from him to a brother and a mother, and I found it in a news article. But we're going to have a whole live probably to look into that if we ever want to. But so he gave that in August of 2022, and all this is supposed to be done so the children can be translated within 5 years. So it's really, really concerning. This is 2025. So not far away.
think people see the seriousness and the reality of what these people are willing to do.
The mothers say they're supposed to have court-ordered custody of their children, but they can't find them.
I get from law enforcement that if we bring them the intel of where kids are, they will absolutely do what they need to do, but nobody has any idea where they're at. And so we essentially started leaning on missing person agencies in order to help us find the kids, because who else is going to do it?
They've turned to a number of people, including the Road Warriors for the Missing, to help locate them. Private investigator Sam Brower has spent years pursuing FLDS leaders for lawyers suing the church. He says the state of Utah must do more to help.
Do what other states do. They have problems and start task forces and special prosecutors and special investigators and really go to work on it. I mean, kids are missing. Little kids are missing.
The Utah Attorney General's office tells me it takes threats seriously and the safety of children is a top priority. Complaints and evidence brought to our office are carefully reviewed, they say.
1, 2, 3. Bring them home!
At a news conference on the missing children, a state lawmaker who says she wants to help.
The legislature needs to continue the work. There's plenty to do because it's still a huge problem.
The Utah legislature this year did pass a bill related to all of this. It's a legal maneuver that allows parents who've left the faith to come back and reassert their custody rights without fear of being labeled an absentee parent. The governor signed it into law.
Guys, I didn't even think about that. So say that the mothers do get full custody and they go back to get their kids. Well, whichever parent had them could say, well, you've been an absentee parent. You haven't been around. So why should they have to go with you now? So that was the law I was telling you guys about. So that's really good that they passed that now. Go Bulldog said, don't some of the FDLS work in law enforcement? Yes, I believe so. And that's really scary too. That I saw, now I believe you brought something to my mind. I believe I saw a documentary once where the FLDS where they were They absolutely had their own police officers. It's all coming back to me now. Miss Elma, it's so good to see you. Queen Nonsense Grannies Jay and Trisha, aka Elma. It's so good to see you. I'm always glad to see you guys. Um, so yeah, that was the Road Warriors too. That was who Elizabeth was saying was helping her. Uh, let me see here. I think this video tells more about that. We can watch that too. And then I promise I'll let you guys go. We can watch our good ending.
Matt's going to take us over the hill. We're going to drop down into Trenton. There's a road on the north side of the house.
This isn't your standard biker group out for a joyride.
If we can get somebody to respond, ask them if she's there. They probably will say no. Rock and roll.
And today, riding past the epic snow-capped mountains of Utah, the men and women of Road Warriors for the missing.
Go Bulldogs. You saying that about the police reminded me of this video. And I watched it earlier, but I think I was in 2x speed, so I didn't catch all of it. But the police go here. They're called about them. When these guys go looking for Ellie, the police are called. And I kind of got an odd vibe from the police here. So they may be what you're talking about. So we'll see and pay attention.
Missing are chasing down a lead. Looking for 17-year-old Elintra Fischer, who hasn't been seen for over a year and a half. She's one of the 8 children from a breakaway offshoot of Mormonism who have disappeared from remote towns dotting the Rocky Mountains. Their mothers were all members of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the FLDS. Law enforcement sees them as runaways, but the moms are convinced it all ties back to the FLDS.
Because these children believe that the mothers are evil, they are going to do everything that the FLDS tells them to do.
Known for their bouffant hairdos, prairie dresses, large families with multiple sister wives, but most of all, for polygamy. The sect infamously led by now imprisoned, convicted pedophile Warren Jeffs. Frustrated by the lack of progress, these mothers of the missing are now working with these bikers to find their children.
Everyone believes the outside world is pure evil.
And who they fear ran back to the church they fought so hard to escape.
Salam's absence has left a void that no words can fully capture.
It's an unlikely pairing, these tough-looking bikers and these women.
So this is when, after Elintra had been missing, I believe that this was April of last year. And so Elizabeth has been advocating with these groups this whole time, trying to get her back, trying to get Ellie back. And I know that this, put her other kids, I don't know if it put them more in harm's way. They really were already in harm's way, but I just think she's such a brave lady.
These women who were told all their lives to keep sweet.
People have seen her in a certain area. We have had surveillance there thanks to the Road Warriors.
Elizabeth Roundy is Elintra Fischer's mother. She disappeared at 16 from her mom's Idaho home on New Year's Day, 2023.
It's just been very sad. I would never have expected to work with the motorcycle crew, but they've been very decent and very respectful.
Not a day goes by that Elizabeth doesn't ache for her missing daughter.
It's been a very frustrating situation to me with the law enforcement. They say they're looking.
The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office told ABC News that we are still actively working Elintra's case. Unfortunately, we have not had any new leads.
The police do a great job. They've got a whole city to watch. While they're watching after a city, we're looking for a specific child.
Tanya Toole runs a nonprofit, Holding Out Help, that helps FLDS members leave the sect.
The Road Warriors have been working this case for many months now.
She found these bikers on the internet and put them in touch with the mothers.
They're just good old boys that ride motorcycles and really care about children and have done great work in their past.
The FLDS cases are different because they're people who are doing something because they believe in it. They believe that what they're doing is right and what we're doing is wrong in these cases.
The FLDS community is very reserved. They keep to themselves and are very private. In trying to locate a specific individual, it's challenging because they don't want to provide information unless they have to.
Alan Robbins is a constable and police officer at a local university, but in his free time, he's a private investigator helping the road warriors. This isn't the first time he's dealt with the FLDS. He tracked down members associated with Warren Jeffs in what was then the epicenter of the FLDS, in Hilldale, Utah.
My main action prior was down in Hilldale. My main efforts down there were to locate certain individuals and get them served. People moved houses there, so they weren't at the house they were a few months ago, and so it was challenging to find the correct address and find the people to get them that notification.
The network we're up against is big. It's expansive. They've got a lot of places to go. They've got a lot of places where they can put these kids that are making them difficult to find. We're traveling in pairs.
Okay.
We'll find them.
The volunteers door knocking at least a dozen homes in areas where Elintra is believed to have been seen in the past.
Boots on the ground is gathering information that we feed back to the private investigators.
Things had been quiet, but then outside of Provo, Utah, a neighborhood dog on high alert after the motorcycles rolled in. At one home, a woman answered, saw Elintra's missing poster and said, "I claim her as my granddaughter." Then shuts the door.
Did we hit neighbors with fire?
Yes. Did you get these houses?
It's good they're still getting tips about her, you guys. So this was over a year after she went missing, so it's really good they're still getting tips.
Nobody would answer.
According to the police report, the self-proclaimed grandmother then called the police.
So keep in mind when you roll up like this, that's going to scare people, right?
So which house is it again?
Authorities checked in on the woman.
Hello. Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. If she shows up in this area, I want to see her.
Rose Lane is the mother of one of Elizabeth Roundy's former sister wives. In the FLDS world, she's considered a grandmother to Elintra.
All right, well, you have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you.
She said she didn't know anything. She said she wished she knew. You guys aren't causing any issue. You guys are, it's a good cause you guys are doing here.
We try to identify to the houses as soon as we roll up, but yeah, we roll up loud with a bunch of bikes and
yeah,
get
everybody's attention. That's the main thing is you got her attention, and she just got a little spooked. But.
After an entire day of searching, Elintra is still missing. And so are all the other FLDS kids, one as young as 13.
These children are living under a state of fear, and they know they have to remain in the FLDS in order to be able to be in the presence of God someday. And so it's really heartbreaking on how the community really divides the families overall.
Pass and park correct.
Tanya has long worked with women who've left the FLDS and has been working with these moms since their children disappeared.
It's an extreme religious group that originally is based out of Utah and Arizona, but it's expanding through the United States now.
One of the moms Tanya helped, Lorraine Jessup, who left the FLDS in 2020, leaving her underage children behind with her sister wife. She said
they're expanding, you guys. You would think that they would be breaking up and not coming back together. Well, at least since, Warren Jeffs. Oh, you guys, also, when I told you that he was sentenced to life in prison in 2012, the women and Elizabeth said that she was told if they act really good and if they do everything right, that Warren will be let out of jail. So since he's not, they make them feel bad about it, like it's all their fault. What kind of sick, demented stuff is that? It's his own fault he's in there, and it's his own fault that he got life.
Getting her own kids to reject the religion and the only life they'd ever known was difficult.
They've been taught that I am an apostate and that I should be treated severely and that they should have nothing to do with an apostate.
Even if they love their mother.
They're being asked to set aside their love for their mother.
In 2023, Lorraine tried to go back and retrieve her underage children from her sister wife's home. The kids resisted, and police were brought in to keep the peace.
won't leave me alone, then it will.
Her 3 children later ran away again, this time successfully.
I don't think it takes a scientist to figure out that these kids are being helped, especially since we've been able to find in bags, the phones and the survival kits.
Now the mothers fear they are working against the clock because Warren Jeffs himself has issued a series of frightening prophecies from prison.
Send this message. Oh, he gives me the creeps, you guys, every time.
They will say that I voiced these words myself.
Calling for his disciples to die so that they can be resurrected in heaven.
The recent revelations from Warren Jeffs are very scary.
What people need to understand is that they firmly believe that the revelations coming out from their church are coming directly from God. And when you're born and bred into a system and taught that from birth, it could happen to any one of us. That is brainwashing. The main concern is that it's probably going to be a mass suicide. They've also been told to cut off outsiders. Women have been asked to quit their jobs.
In 2022, Jeffs also calling for all children of former FLDS members to...
Neat. I think that Rulon was his dad, and so now Warren is, I think it's his brother or his son. It starts with the H, Harriman or something like that, and his mom is who he gave the revelation to. I think now.
to come back into the fold.
They have a chance of salvation at the end of the day. Their alternative is hell. What would you pick?
My daughter Elintra been missing now for 16 months.
Though answers eluded them on this day,
I miss her every day and pray for her.
the search continues.
I need to believe you are watching and waiting for me. I love you, son. It's never too late to call me. I'll always be here.
Love cannot be defined by church walls, by mountain ranges, skies, or even the endless sea. A continuous flood of love pours from a mother's heart, and no amount of fear can pull that love apart.
How sad, guys. And you know that the moms probably stay way longer than they would just so they can stay with their kids too. Okay, so hopefully that I can give us a good update about this case soon, you guys. Hopefully I'm not buffering now, Aaron. Um, neat. Yep, that's what he's doing still through him. Yep. But now I want to tell you guys about our good story. Remember that Janelle Banda, like I was telling you guys, and here's another photo of her. She so after she was last seen around 10:30 at night with her dad at the place called the Edge of the World, right? Well, when they finally found her, it was on that Monday about noon. So she was missing almost 72 hours. And I want to show you guys the when she was found, what it looked like. Just one second and I'll show you. I have to get it there. Okay, let me come back. Let me remove that. And now let's share this. I have two views of when she was rescued. Down that far. It's amazing how she only had a few injuries and was dehydrated. Yep, just had very few injuries and was dehydrated. That was all. 400 feet down that cliff. And let me show you guys one other video. That was one of the sheriff's office that had footage of saving her. So let me find the other one. I've been calling this segment "Must Be a Miracle," and this one is definitely a miracle. Let me show you guys. And then I have a little video from her sister. I gotta come back and make it bigger. Hang on. Okay. I don't know how to turn the sound back on. Did you guys see that? The circle, how far down she was? Oh my goodness. It makes me sick ooh, I gotta stop, guys. It was hurting my stomach just watching it that far. I felt like I was right there. Did you guys? Oh my goodness. Okay, let me see here. This was the when I look on my phone, it puts things in different order sometimes, so it's hard for me to find. Okay, this is the one where her sister talks a little bit more.
Nothing short of a miracle. This helicopter, a sight for sore eyes for the entire Banda family. We were expecting broken bones, right? And so much more. And how she survived, we don't get it. Sarah Banda says her sister, 32-year-old Janelle Banda, was hiking with her dad in the Sedona area this past weekend. Coconino County Sheriff's deputies say Janelle was last seen around 10:30 Friday evening at a campsite known as the Edge of the World, overlooking Bear Sign Canyon. It's a beautiful place from my understanding, but there are steep cliffs that are all around you in that area. I mean, it's called the Edge of the World, I'm sure for a reason. Authorities say Janelle left the campsite and either descended or fell. I'm guessing it was just she took a misstep and unfortunately ended up in the canyon.
When I was looking just when she was missing, you guys, I found her sister here in other videos, and I believe that she is in those Miss America pageants, and she is also an attorney. So she's a really good public speaker, and she gets choked up. I don't know if it's this video or another one, but it reminded me of if something like that happened to my sister. And she said she was giving up hope. She really was. And it would be hard to keep hope alive you saw that place. I mean, to think that anybody could have survived. And down there that far, the policeman said that they were screaming her name and they heard a little voice, and so they could pass her down some water until they could call the helicopter in to save her. NorCal Jim says less than 1% could have survived not only the fall but the 3 days. Yeah, I know. It really is a miracle. And I'm so glad they didn't give up searching for her either. I have no idea. And she only had dehydration. I think she got out of the hospital the same night, if I'm not mistaken.
It's hard for me to even picture it, right? But seeing it, yeah, it was a vertical drop down and she was at the bottom of it. After an exhaustive search, Janelle was finally found around noon Monday. Sarah says the 62 hours she was missing were agonizing. You do really go through every emotion of grief, the anger, the sadness, and a little bit of the acceptance. The whole ordeal putting into perspective just how special their sister bond truly is. And I feel so thankful I have more time with her. I'm gonna cry because there's almost a thought of I wasn't going to ever see her again. I'm happy she's here.
Yeah. Sarah was able to FaceTime Janelle today from the hospital. She was smiling, but we still don't know what caused her to leave the campsite that night, but they hope to learn more once Janelle is feeling better. Her sister has a long road to recovery ahead. She has severe road rash, cuts, bruises, and some sprains, But of course, again, they're thankful that she's alive. We'll hope to update you.
No broken bones, guys. Yeah, when we were speaking about her. That Monday was my live that week, and it would have been about noon their time. So I'm thinking that it would have been the exact same time, about 3, when we were sharing her poster trying to bring awareness for her being missing. So I was so glad that I could share that with you guys. And I think that I put it on my community wall too. So keep an eye there, you guys, for any updates that I get about any of the stories that I cover. It's hard for me to remember to check each story before I come live. So if you guys ever get any updates that you think that I might need to see, you can email me. You're free to email me at any time. There's my email, and then here's my Facebook too. You can message me anytime. And if there's any cases that you think that we could bring awareness to, I don't care a bit. And we can go over anytime. And I can make a post, or we can do a live stream about it, or I can make a short. You guys just send them to me. Yeah, NorCal Jim, that's what I was thinking too. I think that they said that she just took a misstep. It's 1,000 wonders and an absolute miracle. It absolutely is. It was just her and her dad going camping for Father's Day, something innocent that a lot of people do. But that place is scary. You wouldn't catch me up there, even if I could walk. Even if I could walk. You guys. That's just like, being paraplegic. Some people say, well, do you miss running and stuff like that? And I'm like, no, I wasn't a runner before this. So, yeah, you wouldn't catch me up there. Anyways. All right, guys, thank you so very much for coming to hang out with me today. I appreciate you all so very much. Oh, let me drop Vanessa's channel. You guys know that she was in here earlier, Nature Rocks. I know most of you guys know her, but that's her channel, and she does a lot of cool nature stuff. And she not only shows you pictures, she has a wonderful eye for photography, but she doesn't only show you that, she tells you what she knows, and it's not from Google. She checks herself with Google, but she knows so much about nature. It's absolutely amazing. Hey, Big Crumbs, good to see you. I was telling everybody that you're the one that sent me about these 2 babies today, and I hadn't been able to look at it very long, but I wanted to bring what I could as quickly as I could. Well, thank you, Reality's Wiggity Wigs, Screaming TOS and HD. You're welcome to come back anytime. All of you are. We're so glad that you came, and everybody that stopped by, I appreciate you all so very much too. Thanks, guys. I know, Miss Duffy, you're right. And y'all better not leave me. Push me too. Don't leave me behind. Oh, all right, guys. I love you. And don't forget to say your prayers and take your vitamins too. And I'll see you all next time.